So, with Webtoons getting very popular thanks to adaptations from Tower of God and Noblesse, and I mean, Webtoons is like one of the most successful and most popular comic distribution sites or just distributors in general ever. So with Webtoons getting ever popular with adaptations like Noblesse and Tower of God and probably even more down the pipe, I think it's time to go over 5 Webtoons that you should absolutely read because, hey, they're free. All you gotta do is download that Webtoon app, put it on your phone, and you can read literally all of these for free. So I highly recommend it. It's a great app. It's full of great stories, and I'm gonna give you 6. I'm gonna give you 5, but there's gonna be one honorable mention. So let's start with number 5. The Girl Downstairs. This is a little bit of a new one if you're an English reader, I guess. The Girl Downstairs is essentially about this guy has this crush on this girl named Margot, and he goes to college with her, and he moves into this new place, and he has the upstairs apartment, but the downstairs apartment is occupied by a girl. This girl is named Donna Lee. Donna Lee is a little bit interesting. Her past suggests that she may have been some sort of idol in her past, and she may have had some sort of falling out as an idol and went away from the industry and has bad blood and burned all bridges and stuff like that. And it's quite interesting to see their relationship because she seems kind of lonely, kind of to herself often, and somewhat lost. And this guy, he seems just way too much into this girl named Margot, and this girl named Margot basically always gives him the cold shoulder. And I mean, it's like brutal. It's like he's like basically asking her out, and she's like, yeah, let's just not do that, or if she agrees to it, she just brings along friends. It's actually kind of sad in many ways, but the story is quite interesting because it's honestly just it's kind of like a slice of life in many ways. It has that slice of life feeling where it's about just these college kids. But at the same time, the characters are quite compelling because they all have their little bit of uniqueness to them, a little bit of mystery to them. The MC himself has a little bit of mystery. He doesn't really know who he likes, I guess. He loves Margot because it's this girl that he has this crush on, but at the same time, he's not living. The girl below him is a idol, and he's not really into idols or anything like that. So it's just a really interesting story, a lot of interesting characters, and it plays out really, really well. And as well, if you're a fan of stories that are more mature and show romance from a different angle, this is absolutely a story you should check out. Also, Donna Lee smokes. I don't remember the last time I saw that in anime, so to see it in a webtoon is actually pretty freaking sweet. Also, the art is beautiful. Look at this art. It's so cool. I mean, look at Donna. She's just gorgeous. Look at the main guy. He's gorgeous. Look at the Margot. She's gorgeous. Look at just the art in general. It's just gorgeous. It looks so good. I can't stop looking at it. And I think that's really one of the reasons why it actually hit the top 5 for me. It's because it's just really good looking. At number 4, we have The Girl from Random Chatting. Quite honestly, one of my favorites of all time. I love The Girl from Random Chatting. It is a fantastic series. It's quick. It's very quick paced. You can get in and you can get out really quickly if you really wanted to. And the characters are just so fun. They're so interesting. And I think the story is really well written and well paced. So it's really, you can get really invested in this series really quickly. And I think all of the characters involved, especially Junwoo, our main character, is such a relatable and fantastic character. But you also have other characters who are just really, really, really good. One of those examples is Sung-A, or Sung-A? I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. I'm sorry, I'm not Korean, so I apologize. But it's I don't know. The characters are really good, and she's a really good character. Basically, the story is essentially about this guy who downloads this app called Random Chat, and it just turns out that one of the people he's talking to is a girl that he has a crush on, that he likes. And what's interesting about it is he decides to just kind of remain anonymous because he has really no self-esteem in terms of dealing with other people, especially his crush. And as well, his crush is interested in the student council president. So he kind of helps her get with him, but in many ways, this is a story about self-growth. It's not really necessarily about romance in particular. That's just a part of it. It's really about respecting yourself, growing as a person, and getting through, especially, your younger years. It's a very well done series, and I don't think there's a character that I absolutely hate or anything at all. Like, I think every character is virtually, for the series at least, perfectly written. And couple that with the pacing, I think The Girl from Random Chatting is a fantastic series. All of you should check out. It's really good. Number 3, Bastard. I will never not recommend this manhwa, this webtoon. It's fantastic. It's easily one of my favorites of all time. It's one of the first ones that I ever read for a webtoon, and it's remained with me since. Of course, this is from the same people that did Sweet Home, but Bastard is fantastic. What it's about is it's about a son who is the accomplice of a murderer. His murderer turns out to be his father, who kills people that look like his mother. His mother, I believe, died. I can't remember how she died. Maybe you find out. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've read it, of course. But he can't say no to it because he's actually physically weak. He fell off a really high place. He lost some of his memory due to it, and he also lost his eye, and all of his joints are basically held together with like duct tape and glue, essentially. So he's very weak, and he can't really do much to fight against his father, who is this psychopathic murderer who cuts people up. And he has to be an accomplice. So what he does is he wraps a sledgehammer in a lot of bandages and knocks these women out. And it turns out he's getting bullied a lot because of his, how weak he is. And the new girl comes and saves him. And so in the hospital, when he wakes up, she's there to be like, hey, I saved you. You're welcome. And he yells at her, tells her to leave and get out. Turns out that girl is the type that his father murders. And so his whole thing is like playing a cat and mouse game with his father, but as well to try to keep this girl safe, to keep this girl away. And it's quite interesting when you find out about this girl as well. She has a really cool backstory, a really cool character to her, and really the main character as well is very good, and I think they work really well as a romantic couple together. It's a very good story. It's probably the best thriller webtoon that you can find on the app currently at this moment, and with all of these Crunchyroll adaptations happening for Tower of God and Noblesse, we gotta see Bastard eventually. Bastard is one that, if it gets adapted, it's going to be a classic in 10 years from its release. So, absolutely. You should absolutely read Bastard. It's really good. Highly recommend it. Number 2 is My Deepest Secret. My Deepest Secret is one that I found recently, and I read through it pretty quick. It's basically about this girl who gets this perfect boyfriend. He's super cute, he's super good looking, he's perfect in every way, he's got a good job, he's really smart. But if anybody messes with her, if anybody talks to her that's male, if she even has some kind of trouble, he's basically there to kind of isolate her and keep her away from those people and keep her all to himself. Also, he's a murderer. So it's definitely one of those stories where, yeah, you kind of go into it, you roll your eyes at it, it's like, oh, it's another one of those series where you're supposed to believe in the hot murderer guy, like you're supposed to root for him, you're supposed to somehow believe that these two are a couple. Wrong! It subverts your expectations entirely of what to expect from this awful cliche that for some reason people enjoy. You are supposed to hate this guy, and you're actually supposed to root for her to kind of stand up to him and not go down this path. And it's quite obvious that she's very wary of his intentions and what exactly is going on around him and her in particular. I think this is a series that, much like Bastard, it has those thriller elements, and I think it's a very good companion piece to Bastard. It's also a little bit more lighthearted, oddly enough, because of the really, really good-looking art. The character designs in this webtoon are fantastic, and much like The Girl Downstairs, is probably a reason you should check it out. I mean, look at the main girl. She's just so good-looking, both in design and looks. And as well, that just goes for every character. And the characters are also very diverse looking. It's just a really good horror, kind of thriller-ish, kind of lighter version of something like that webtoon. And I definitely think you guys should check it out because it's in my number 2 slot. It's doing something really good. My one honorable mention for this is I Love You. This is a series I actually really quite enjoyed, but in recent times I've kind of fallen off with it because the chapters are getting really, really long and really detailed, and honestly I just kind of needed a break from it. But I Love You is fantastic, and it's in my honorable mentions just simply for the fact that I kind of fell off with it. And I expected the story in season 2 to be a little bit more fast-paced, but it's kind of slow right now. It's in its slow section. It's taking its time, especially trying to get all these details out. But it's essentially about this girl named Shine, who didn't exactly win the lottery in terms of her family or she didn't draw the best cards. Her father's sort of an alcoholic who's always at a hospital working, basically killing himself slowly, and she kind of had a very bad childhood. Her mother left her father and also took her sister with her, and she hasn't really remained in contact or talked to her sister or her mother very much since then, and they've been very much struggling financially. Her father is trying to support her while she's going through school, and it's quite real in that sense. But then she gets involved with these 2 rich brothers, and it's a love triangle, and yeah, it's a kind of a cliche, but it works. You are really interested in these characters. They're very genuine, and the brothers are quite interesting as well because they have these really cool backstories and these really cool arcs to them, and their family is insane. It's just such a cool series, and just in terms of character development. And I think this is definitely another one, much like My Deeper Secret, where you go in kind of rolling your eyes a little bit. Another story where the girl is getting with all the rich guys, but it's not really like that. It's not like a love triangle in that sense. It's more about the characters. It's more about the development, and the romance isn't really even in. It's called I Love You, and there hasn't been any love yet. And we're over 100 chapters into the story. It's a fantastic series, and there's a reason why it's one of the most popular webtoons, and it's likely going to get an adaptation very soon by Crunchyroll at some point. So definitely check out I Love You. Deserves to be an honorable mention. And number 1, we have the fantastic Unordinary. This series... Okay, first, let me just explain what this is about. It takes place at Wellston Academy, where every student has a superpower of some sort. There's also kind of a hierarchy. There's a king and a queen, and the king and the queen are usually the most powerful male and female, respectfully, of the school. Enter John. John doesn't have any kind of power at all, so he's constantly bullied all the time. He becomes friends with Serafina. Serafina is the former queen of Wellston Academy. She is, without a doubt, the strongest person in the school, even the stronger than the king, Arlo. And Serafina sees John, and she's kind of inspired by John in many ways. John doesn't care about powers. He just wants to do his own thing. He wants to get in, study, and, get a really good education and then get out. And so Serafina changes her ways. She quits being the queen, and that is then filled in by the current queen, Remy. And as well, we have Ember. Ember is basically going around and killing all of these really high-tiered superheroes. And actually, in this world, the word superhero is a dirty word. Nobody wants to be a superhero because the government in this world kind of has that on lockdown. They don't like to encourage people to use their powers, and it's almost this dystopian world they live in many ways. It's a very interesting story, and I think for the power dynamic alone, it's very interesting to people who like that kind of thing, like kind of shonen, but I think as well, it's not a shonen at all. It just has small elements of it, but it's a story that I think there's a reason why it's probably one of the, if not the most popular webtoon on Webtoons itself. It's because it has really good writing. It's really easy to get into, really easy to pop in, read a chapter, get out, and as well, this is absolutely going to get an adaptation eventually by Crunchyroll. And we're gonna be seeing firsthand just how Unordinary can connect with people. It's got intrigue, it's got drama, it's got comedy. It's all around a really great story. And I think Uru-chan does a great job with writing it, and it only gets better seemingly with time. So for sure, check out Unordinary. I highly recommend it. But that's my 5 webtoons you should read. I want to ask you guys though, put down in the comments below what are 5 webtoons you think people should read. It doesn't matter if some of them have already been on my list. Just put down in the comments below. Hey, I may even check some of those out and do videos on them. Also, with that being said, I'm trying to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers. So even if you don't intend to watch more of my videos, maybe consider subscribing so I get to 1,000 subscribers, because I'm trying to get the community tab. But as well, I have tons of webtoon content on this channel. I have videos on Unordinary. I have 5 webtoons I think Crunchyroll should adapt, and I have plenty more videos about webtoons. I even have reviews for Bastard, which I think is a great story. So, I mean, if there's content on there for webtoons for sure, and I'll be doing more webtoon content in the future, but definitely if you're a passerby, maybe consider subscribing even if you're not going to watch my content, just so I can get that community tab and as well be able to monetize this channel eventually. Though, even if I do get 1,000 subscribers and apply for the YouTube partner program, it's going to be a while before I even will be able to monetize this channel. But with that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like this video, subscribe and ring the bell. I would greatly appreciate that. Comment down below what are your 5 webtoons that you think everyone should read. And know that I have a Patreon where on the $1 tier and above you can get everything. So I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.